Welcome back to EPG. I am Greg, your host, of course. So today you're interested in learning about eating bugs, which is something I had the pleasure of doing in my little world travels. But before we get there, the first thing I want to talk about is I noticed when I was traveling the world that a lot of cultures tended to eat things that maybe would be somewhat questionable as far as the Western palate's concerned, because we have kind of a set range of things that we eat when it comes to protein, like beef, like chicken, pork, and it gets kind of, I don't know, it's adventurous when you go outside of that little spectrum. But when you think about it, the civilizations or the peoples that have been closest to starving are the ones that tend to have the most exotic cuisine. Imagine how hungry you would be to think that eating frog's legs was a good idea, or lobster, or oysters, or basically anything that at first blush doesn't really look appetizing. But when you're hungry, and when your family's hungry, when your children are hungry, you're going to make do with what you have. And that's what a lot of these cultures did. Another aspect I want to talk about is kind of the history behind the place of where I was eating bugs. So the Bug Cafe was the restaurant I went to, and that was in Siem Reap, Cambodia. And as always, I will give you the address and the GPS coordinates. But in the 70s in Cambodia, the country was overtaken by a communist group called the Khmer Rouge. And food was put at a premium because what the Khmer Rouge was doing was they evacuated the cities and put everybody, almost everybody in the entire country, onto government farms. And in order for the Khmer Rouge to get arms, they didn't have a lot of money, so they started trading with the Chinese, and the only commodity they had, which was food. So they would get all these people, almost the entire population of Cambodia, to be on these farms, and it was incredibly punished if you were to take any food that was grown for the Chinese, for the arms trade. And what would happen was that people still needed to eat. People, needed to provide for their families as best they could. So that's when the cuisine started changing to more available forms of protein, such as bugs. And so with all that in mind, let me tell you about my trip to the Bug Cafe. So I was in Siem Reap, and I walked in, looked on TripAdvisor, and got, an idea of what the menu would be, got an idea of, what the ambiance would look like, and especially where it was, so I know where to go. So I talked with the guy when I first walked in. I'm just like, look, I know I'm not from here. What can you tell me about, meals? And because I was worried because, way some of these animals were prepared, they're venomous, didn't want to ingest poison. But he said, okay, so here's what we do. With the scorpions, we cut off the back little part of their stinger on their tails. And with tarantulas, with the fangs that they have venom sacs behind the fangs, so they were able to cut them off. Then they were fried, cleaned, and then they were fried, and then they were served. So I'm like, okay. So I sat down at the table, I was looking over the menu, and the first thing I ordered was a shot of scorpion venom rice wine. And it was good. It was really good. It was surprisingly good. It tasted like a couple of years ago, Absolute Vodka released a bunch of different types of flavors, and one of them was a pepper flavor. It tasted a lot like that, and once you took the shot, you can kind of feel like maybe the venom spreading over your tongue. And ingesting it, I was, perfectly fine, and I'm still here, so I wasn't, poisoned. The next thing I ordered was egg rolls as an appetizer, and the trick about that was that it was served with ants. So yeah, there were little ants inside the egg roll, and those were, very good. It was cooked like any other egg roll would be, fried, and then, there's vegetables inside. And for my main course, I got the sampler platter, which included another batch of ant egg rolls. It included fried tarantula, a couple cockroaches, a few crickets, and scorpion. So the biggest thing about that was, when you see a fried scorpion sitting on a platter and you have a knife and fork in hand, the hardest part is kind of wrapping your mind around what you're going to do, especially when you cut open into the tarantula and all these, kind of grayish, squishy guts come out. But
I needed the experience. I wanted to try it. And I ate everything on the plate and I cleared it. And I got another shot of scorpion venom rice wine to wash it all down with. And I'm glad I did it. It was an experience that I'll never forget. Would I want to do it again? I'm kind of a steak guy, so if I had to, again, if I was starving, if my family was starving, yeah, I would definitely try it again. And I think everybody should, test their comfort level as far as what they should eat. So yeah, I just want to thank you for your time. I hope you get out there. I hope you go try the Bug Cafe in Siem Reap, and yeah, have some scorpion venom rice wine for me. So thank you, and go have fun.